Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar. We're just waiting for people to get to their virtual seats. So we'll be starting in just a few minutes. Thank you very much. Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming. We'll be starting in just a few more minutes. Thank you. Hey, hi again, everybody. Thank you for coming. We'll be starting in just a couple minutes here today. Thank you. Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar. My name is Eric Bitmanis. I'm the Program Manager for Private Sector Innovation here at Canary. We are recording this presentation and it will be available on YouTube shortly after the webinar concludes. If you'd like to ask a question during the webinar, please use the Q&A option here on Zoom. We have a couple spots in the presentation where we will address any questions, so feel free to write them in at any time. Today is also the first webinar in a series of webinars we are doing in collaboration with Amazon Web Services, otherwise more popularly known as AWS. We're extremely excited to be welcoming Rebecca Handfield, Vice President of Marketing and Public Relations at BrainBox AI, to present today. And I'm sure many of you are itching to hear about the marketing fundamentals for your startup. Before we do that, I do want to take a couple quick minutes to provide an overview of the Dare Cloud program for those of you who might not be familiar with the program and what it can bring to your startup or business. So the DARE program, otherwise known as the Digital Accelerator for Innovation and Research, is a free program offered by Canary, available to entrepreneurs, startups, and small and medium-sized businesses here in Canada. It began as a pilot project back in 2011, and with the goal of providing a boost towards commercialization for startups and small and medium-sized businesses. From those humble beginnings, the Dare Cloud has now served over 2,000 Canadian entrepreneurs, startups, and SMEs in accelerating their product and service development. We're also continually evolving the program to better suit the needs of the entrepreneurs that we do serve. We launched our Booster Pack program back in 2019, leveraging the experience of other Canadian businesses and distilling it into a single, easy-to-digest, free package of documentation, resources, and source code so that other Canadian entrepreneurs can take that Booster Pack and gain a foundational knowledge or foundational understanding in an emerging technology if they're looking to incorporate that technology into their own business. And just this past August, we're happy to say we've been enabling AWS services in the Dare Cloud for the first time. Services like Lambda, RDS, and many more can now be used on the Dare Cloud to help accelerate your product or service development. We also increased the monthly spending limit of Dare participants to $1,000 a month that can be spent on AWS cloud resources. And when you apply to Dare, you get 1 year of access to these resources, which could save you up to $12,000 in cloud computing costs over a year as you build, iterate, and develop your next great product or service. We also, of course, offer support and a community of entrepreneurs for you to connect with as you progress on your journey. All this is offered completely for free. Canary is a nonprofit funded by Innovation, Science, and Economic Development Canada. So we're here to help serve you on your way to achieving your business goals. Now, the next question I'm usually asked is, how am I even eligible for the DARE program, and how easy is it to even apply? Well, I can almost certainly assure that you are eligible if you are a business based in Canada, employing less than 500 employees, and developing a product that you're looking to commercialize. You would be eligible for the DARE program. DARE is also an extremely easy program to join. The application form on our website takes about 5 minutes to complete, followed by 3 to 5 business days of processing time on our side before you know it, you'll have access to your DARE resources, and it's as easy as that. If this sounds at all interesting to you, I highly suggest checking out canary.ca/cloud after the webinar today to see how the program can help your development journey. And with that said, I'd like to pass the digital microphone over to Rebecca Handfield. Rebecca is the Vice President of Marketing and Public Relations at BrainBox AI, an innovative Montreal-based company that is focused on leveraging AI to make buildings smarter, more efficient, all while reducing energy costs. So please welcome Rebecca.
Thank you, Eric. I'm just going to share my screen here. Give me 1 second. Somebody can give me a thumbs up that you're currently seeing.
Oh, I can see it on my end. Looks great.
Okay, awesome. And my camera is not on. Hi, good afternoon, everyone, or good morning, wherever you are in the world. My name is Rebecca Handfield. I'm the Vice President of Marketing and Public Relations here at BrainBox AI. I currently cannot see the chat, so if ever there's any questions or comments at the end of the presentation, I'll be able to get back to them. So today I'm here to present just a quick slide deck on the fundamentals of marketing for startups. And I wanted to start with a little bit of kind of a backstory to tell you, I know where you are. I know where I've been where you are, and the journey is really awesome. But there's things that I've learned along the way in the startup scale-up journey that I've taken in the last couple of years, and I hope to be able to share some of those insights with you today. So a quick backstory, I joined BrainBox AI in 2018, and I was employee number 8, and I was hired to focus principally on the marketing and PR efforts at BrainBox. And BrainBox, as Eric alluded to, is an AI organization that applies its artificial intelligence to commercial buildings like retail stores, office buildings, in order to make them more sustainable by decreasing their energy consumption. So it's a very novel technology. It has a very good product market fit in terms of in light of the fact that everyone wants to decrease their carbon footprint, and there's a lot of research and innovation that's happening in the AI space right now. So BrainBox AI, when I joined in 2018, had no name, no brand, no website, no messaging, no social media. So if you're at that point right now, it's all good. I've been there, and and we can, there's many steps. It's not too complicated to kind of remedy those missing items. We officially launched in May 2019, so a couple of months after I joined, when we were a team of 12, and we were at that point financially supported only by friends and family investors. So very kind of lean on cash, and a lot of what we did was, done with monetary consciousness, making sure that we were using our funds very wisely, and the marketing team was a team of 1, which was me. Now today, 5 years later, we currently have a headcount of 180 employees spread out mostly around North America and Canada. We've completed our Series A fundraise. We're working on our Series B, which is coming up next. To date, we've raised $70 million USD, and we've completed our first corporate acquisition in 2023. As well as we have quite a few awards and press coverage, powerful press coverage under our belt, and we're currently a marketing team of 7. So we've gone through the evolution in the past 5 years from nothing to kind of a marketing and communication powerhouse. And what I want to do today is really kind of give you the tips and tricks of how we got there and help you avoid maybe some of the pitfalls that we were victims of. So here are the 5 elements that I want to focus on today. The first one is strategic hiring. The second is story and image. The third is target market obsession. The fourth is digital footprints, and the fifth is public relations. And I've put a little note here, which you'll see in the red box, amongst other things. I wanted to focus on the 5 elements that I thought were really core, but there's so many other things, right? And it depends on your business. If you're more a B2B business, B2G, B2C, there's different elements that will become more priorities over others. You know, you also have conferences in there, you have messaging in there, you have a lot of other marketing pieces, but I'll focus on these 5 today. And if ever we want to have another session, talk about some other ones, would be my pleasure to delve into them. So strategic hiring, I put this as my first point here because in my opinion, as a young company, we're often really careful with headcount, right? Trying to, instead of hire a full-time person, use agencies or freelancers to help us with our marketing work, our messaging work, our communications work. And that's something I really don't recommend. I think that early on, it's smart for startups to hire a marketing generalist, what I call a marketing generalist. A marketing generalist is defined as somebody who has experience in a lot of different types of marketing. So they've done conferences, they've done PR, they've done digital, they've done SEO, they've done messaging, product marketing, somebody who has touched on a lot of facets of marketing. And I believe investing in hiring someone in that role early on will bring a lot of value in the long term. You will have higher ROI than if you're just working with agencies and freelancers here and there and having other people in your company have to do marketing part-time to help make that happen. So a strategic hire is really where I think the journey of marketing in a startup begins. In the red box here on the right, we can see is what the BrainBox story. So marketing was the first hire on the commercial side of the business after we hired a sales rep. So basically our business was made up of like 9 engineers, and then we hired a salesperson, then we hired a marketing person. So we did that really, really quickly. And as is every other role in a startup, a marketing generalist can support the organization in other capacities as well as they should in a small business. So they can help with client communication, internal HR communication or event organization, sales support, obviously, curating decks, curating messaging, and things like system implementation. If you're implementing a CRM or stuff, these are all jobs and like peripheral tasks that a marketing generalist can also help the business with. Just one point on the strategic hire. I think it should be done early and it should be done carefully. So a marketer who's really dedicated will deeply influence the way in which an organization is presented to the outside world, right? That's the person who's picking up the phone and talking to a journalist. It's the person who's writing your messaging on your website. So it needs to be someone who really embodies the values of the company, who really represents the brand. So choose wisely is my advice on that front. So once you have sort of a marketer, somebody in charge, dedicated to that position, story and image becomes the next kind of fundamental element that needs to be looked at. My first point here, your story is absolutely essential. What do I mean by your story? I found an online definition. It's nothing fancy, but it's a definition that I resonated. And I'll read it here. Your brand story is essentially the story of your business as perceived by your customers and potential customers. So it's not the story, it's not the actual story of how your business came to be, but the story that you want to communicate to your customers. And it typically has a bit of an emotional aspect to it, and it positions, your product or service and how it can improve the lives of your customers. So as you can see, it's like really customer focused, and this story then becomes the basis for all your corporate communication. It's like your core messaging, and I think the exercise of defining your story is also a really important one to ensure alignment within your company, because it was surprising how when we started at BrainBox, our co-founder who was a really a technical guy, and our other co-founder who was more a business guy, And then all the engineers that we worked with, they all had their version of our story in their minds. But it was interesting to see how certain elements really differed from one to the next. So it's a really important alignment exercise too within the team. And it's, when the team is small, it's even more important, because you want to really determine what that is, because as the team grows, that core needs to remain strong. So an example here, again, with BrainBox, I'm trying to give you the BrainBox examples to make it concrete. Our story is that we are bringing AI to the built environment to dramatically decrease the carbon emissions emitted by buildings globally. And our goal is to give our customers the technology they need to do their part in fighting climate change. So something you'll notice here is really we're making our client the hero. We are the facilitators. We are the technology that allows our clients to reach their net zero goals, reduce their carbon, and fight, global warming. So this is the kind of story that I think it would resonate, right? And this version of the story, as I've written it, is not, it will change, right? Depending on who you're talking to. There's iteration of the story, but the baseline remains the same. So this is an example of how the story could be made. And so how do you build your story? And I wrote, my opinion may be a little controversial. I really do not think that you should use agencies or external help for this. There is nobody that can explain the story better than a founder, an innovator, a leader in your organization, and have the marketer that you've hired refine and work with you on refining the message. But it needs to come from within. Don't spend money for this. Take the time, do a half-day war room, and do it. Determine what the story is. And then that becomes the basis of everything you write on the website, everything you write in your product material, everything. It becomes the kind of common thread within all of your messaging. Also, with story comes image. So part of your story is your aesthetic, right? What you look like to the outside world, your visual identity, in other words. And my hard truth is that a bad aesthetic is no longer acceptable. So a modern, sleek logo, good brand norms that are consistent throughout all your communication mediums, it's necessary. And it's not that hard anymore. So if you don't have a logo for your company, hire a graphic designer. And BrainBox AI, our story is that when we came up with the name, I hired a graphic designer, paid her $50 an hour. She worked for 2 days. We did some back and forth. We came up with the logo. It doesn't take that much time. And if you have a marketer on your team who has like a bit of a creative eye, a few options can be presented to the executive team or the founders, and then it's selected, right? So, and then that becomes the core of their brand, the colors, the fonts. It's essential. So hire a graphic designer. No, don't work with an agency. Just find a freelancer, do that. Try graphic design tools if you don't want to go that route. There's tools like designs.ai that are powered by artificial intelligence that can generate amazing imagery for you. Canva, if you haven't heard of Canva, check it out. It will make your social media images for you. It's templates that are super powerful. They're clean, they look nice, they're visually appealing. It's imperative to, perception is important, and having a good visual aesthetic is critical to investor convincing, client perception. Even if you're small, it's worth spending a few bucks on that. And one fact that I have about story and image, it will evolve through time. So don't expect that once it's created, it's going to stay like this forever. As a startups and BrainBox as a scale up, acquisitions happen, new product lines are added, features, the products mutate in certain directions based on target market guidance. It's normal that your brand and your image and your story need to evolve. They do not completely change, right? It's not a 100% change. It's a mutation. So they evolve. BrainBox AI in 5 years has already gone through one significant evolution, and we're about to go through another one right now. It's normal, right? This is the strength of startups is the nimbleness and flexibility, and the flexibility and the nimbleness on story and image is also part of that game. Part 3, target customer obsession. So 2 words to describe this: customer personas. A marketer needs to fully understand who they're selling to, like obsessively understand who they're selling to. What does that person do? What does that person read? How do they make their decisions? We need to have a deep understanding of who they are. And there's a lot of exercise or models that we can use to perform the exercise. We've used empathy maps, for example, value proposition models. I've put two like examples here on the screen of what those look like. And I think it's a very good exercise to have with the founders, with the sales leadership, with marketing to, again, ensure alignment into who exactly we're targeting, why, with what messaging we are targeting them, what are the pains in them that we're addressing. This may seem like marketing 101, but I think it takes time to do this. So a lot of us kind of skip over that step, especially when we're a small company and we don't have a lot of time. But it's a really good exercise of reflection, and it forces all of our marketing communications and strategies to revolve around the customer, which is what this is what it should do. You can also use these sort of exercise models if you want to target investors, for example, or if you want to target partners, for example. It works as well. It doesn't need to just be client personas. I gave an example here, again, for the sake of giving you some concrete examples. This is one of our target markets. We basically have 5 personas that we target, which we've categorized into 3 buckets. One of the personas is someone we call Susie Sustainability. And Susie Sustainability, basically, she's summarized after many pages of work and research and everything. She's summarized on 2 pages where we have described her role, what her key tasks is, like what's her day-to-day, the metrics she looks at, so what are the KPIs that she cares about, what's her decision-making process, what are the decision criteria that she looks for, what are the pains that we can help alleviate for her, and then purchase insights, like what does she define as success, what are her trusted resources, who does she go to for second opinions. So it's a lot of work to get that on there, and it requires speaking to people that are in our target audience, speaking with sales teams, speaking with partners that have sold to this type of persona in the past to gain as much insight as possible. And it's an exercise that serves a lot of purpose over time as well. So for example, when we have new sales, we have a lot of people that get hired all the time, right? Because we're a growing organization. When we get a new sales role, we send them the empathy map so they have a better understanding of who they're selling to and the types of personas that they have. When we're trying to develop an ad strategy and we're working with an agency, we send them the personas so that they have they understand who they're going to be dealing with. So there's multi-purpose. And at the core, it's just being able to understand who you're marketing to and making sure that everyone in the company also agrees about who you're marketing to. Oh, this is supposed to be number 4, so apologies for that little typo. Number 4 is the digital footprint. So I'm saying this, everyone's probably rolling their eyes because it's so obvious, but websites are non-negotiable in today's day and age. Everyone needs a website, and it doesn't matter how small or nascent your organization is. A website is essential, even if you don't have a product to sell yet. So the first website that we had was a 1-page landing page, and we had no product to sell on it yet. But we had investors that we wanted to sell to. We had partners that we wanted to sell to. So we put content on that page about our vision, what the solution is going to become, a form that people can fill out to reach out to us. Online presence is just essential because that's the way people can find you. And it doesn't need to be complex. Maybe a lesson learned that I can share with regards to our digital footprint. Most of the time you need to work with a digital agency or freelancer to get a website up, right? It's rare that a marketing generalist is able to do a website independently, though there are some new AI website tools that I think could do that pretty quickly. But if you're working with a digital agency and freelancer, make sure that you're building on a platform that allows you as a customer to be fully independent afterwards. So sometimes agencies tend to like black box the back end of a website, and it doesn't allow you to have much flexibility. Build it in a way ensure that it's built in a way where afterwards you can go in, you can change things around, you can move modules up and down. It's going to save you so much money. It's going to save you so much time. We didn't do that, and it was a mess at the beginning. So start right by sticking to something super flexible. The HubSpot website hosting has been what we've found to be most effective. Choose your social media platforms wisely. I think at the beginning we were really gung-ho. We wanted to go on all platforms. That was not the right decision. It's better to invest your time in one or two, but like literally one. One is enough platform that reaches your target audience and best communicates to them. So for us, it was LinkedIn. It still is LinkedIn. We've now expanded to include Twitter and Facebook, mostly for ads purposes, but LinkedIn remains our bread and butter, and you have to maintain your presence on LinkedIn. So in order for LinkedIn to become a lead generation platform for you, or a brand awareness platform for you, or a brand notoriety platform for you, you need to have a pace of content sharing. So we always have a goal of posting 2 to 3 posts per week, and that has been the same goal for many, many years. So when we were younger and we had less things to say and less articles to share, we were very creative in the posts that we share. We do employee spotlights. We would publish content from thought leaders that are not from our company, but from other companies that shared visions similar to ours. But we really kept on that consistent posting. And what I felt has been the most effective use of social media in terms of brand building and followership building is associating your brand with bigger brands or recognized individuals that have more notoriety than you. So what I mean by that is, if you have a client and they're willing to share the announcement of you working with them, do it. Put their logo. Let's say it's, I don't know, Home Depot works with BrainBox. We would aggressively push that, because what we want to do is we want to build our brand notoriety and recognition by associating ourselves with brands that have really good brand recognition and notoriety. And you can do that with partners. When you sign partners, when you get covered in media, use that Montreal Gazette logo and associate it with your brand. If you have researchers, you work with a university, or you work with Dr. Smith, who's like a very recognized thinker at the University of Toronto, use it. Put that imagery, put those logos side by side. You're going to be able to take advantage of their notoriety, and it's also going to help with your followership, because you're going to tag these people and you're going to encourage them to interact with it. So there's a lot of strategy that you can do with just kind of brand building and co-branding on social media. So that's been our experience with LinkedIn. And then my last point, I put it because it's a question that I often get, but in marketing, we often get pitched marketing automation tools like Marketo or HubSpot. I found that in the early stages, those technologies are very expensive and they're very big. They do a lot. At this point in BrainBox, we have it. We've only had it for a year. So we waited 4 years before adopting it. And instead, we used cheaper tools like MailChimp, sequencing tools in your CRM, etc. And it really did the job for us. It was enough for kind of our ramp up. So I wouldn't necessarily kind of run towards a full automation tool when you're still building. It's probably not worth the full investment. Oh, here are some examples, just back to the brand kind of co-branding. I was saying here is something we did 3 weeks ago, because we still do it. Like, even now that we're bigger, we still do it. This is a triple branding play. So we have Omar Taba, that's our Chief Product Officer. So it's BrainBox AI, linked with Sleep Country Canada, which is our client, published on Nexus Podcast, which is in our industry a very recognized building automation podcast. So triple branding, right? Nexus and Sleep Country have more brand notoriety than we do, but we've placed ourselves in that mix. So it's bringing our brand perception, brand notoriety up. We did the same thing here with Train and BrainBox. Every partnership announcement, every media release, every client announcement, we would share and find ways to get those logos side by side. Last point. So point five, public relations. So oftentimes we don't talk about public relations when we talk about marketing because it's sort of a separate beast. What I've noticed is that a lot of startups shy away from public relations, and we did the complete opposite at BrainBox. And I think that it was worthwhile for us to engage on the PR side. PR is really expensive. I'll be very honest with you. It's very expensive to work with. There's strategies to decrease those costs, but our goal is that we wanted to work with a PR agency because we wanted a powerhouse that could translate our storyline into a headline. So it's not good for every business, but I think if you work in a business that has a really innovative or cutting edge product or has a really strong purpose or reason or story behind it, then there's no reason why your story wouldn't get coverage in mass or vertical media. So we make really loud announcements. We place press releases on the wire about clients, partnerships, fundraisers, and we even get a lot of coverage because we take time to write articles about the story of our company, thought leadership, so thought perspectives on different topics that impact our industry. And we really seek out the PR opportunities. So not only do we make announcements and work with an agency that kind of pitches our stories to journalists that then come back and do interviews with us, but we also seek them out aggressively. So every time we go to a trade show or conference, there's always a PR presence. There's always, you can find it on the conference website. There's always journalists that are there. Ask them for coffee. Ask them to sit down with you. You could get coverage. It doesn't cost anything to do that. So this is just another way to maximize your conference dollars. Get on podcasts or webinars like this one. Get on podcasts that talk about topics that are similar to yours. Write to those folks and say, hey, would you like to have XYZ, this person at our company, come and talk on your podcast? I was actually pitching Eric, our security guy, to do a podcast on this channel. So it's a great opportunity to just get the word out there. And it allows you to reach pools of people that are completely different from those that follow you on LinkedIn who already know about you. And for us, public relations has led to a lot of reach outs, lots of like client interest, investor interest, partner interest. We even have like big players in our space reach out to us because they saw it, they're curious. So it's really been a powerful play. And another part of PR is also about applying to contests. So again, I feel like people do this, like sometimes maybe I'll do one. There are dozens of local, national, and global contests. And they're usually really low cost. They cost like $100 or something. And if you win or become a finalist, it's super powerful because you get strong free press, great recognition for your website, great recognition for your sales presentations, good social media content. And it's surprising how not a lot of people apply to them, and your chances of becoming a finalist or winning are typically quite decent. I'm thinking of, there's also like women in business, women in leadership awards. We signed up our CEO to Globe and Mail C-suite executive of the year for their report on business I don't know what it was, like insert. So there's a lot of contests that you can apply to, and and it's very motivating also internally to the team. There's also an HR aspect to it of like, look at our product, it's getting recognized. Look at the story that we're building. We're really making a difference. So the contest angle is strong, and honestly, it doesn't take that much time because once you fill in one or two contest applications, you'll have a content library of like questions and answers. It's easy to continue to apply to others. So it's tougher for the first few, but after that, you build a good machine that you can apply to. And I guess one lesson that I've learned is aim big. We applied to Time Magazine's 100 Best Inventions of the Year in 2020. I thought it was a joke. Like it was a Hail Mary. Like we were never going to win this. We actually did. We were completely flabbergasted. I think maybe a lot of people thought the same way I did and just never applied. So apply, try, it's worth taking 3 hours to apply. You never know. This was like a defining moment in our company because it put us on like a massive media scale. It's something we still talk about and present regularly still today, 3 years later. So 1235, just a little recap here of the 5 fundamental elements that I covered. So in red is basically, if you only remember 5 things today, it's these things that I want you to remember. So the first, on strategic hiring, I think it's worth the investment. Do it fast. Have somebody join your team and really impact the way you communicate your product or service to the outside world. Story and image, it's the basis of everything. Make sure it's strong. Make sure everyone's aligned around it. And then it can become the core of all your integrated marketing communications. Target market obsession, take the time to do it. It's kind of long. It feels like a university exercise, but it's worth it. It'll teach you a lot. Digital footprint, it's essential. You can't not do it. It's really become a basis in today's world. And then 5, public relations, don't shy away from it. Don't shy away from it, and you'll find it in many you'll find many opportunities if you start looking for them. So that's the end of my presentation. I guess I'll stop sharing the screen so that I can see everyone again.
Well, thank you very much, Rebecca. We do have a couple questions that were coming in as you were speaking, so I'll start us off here. The first question we have is actually from Jason, asking if anyone wants to go for coffee, which is a great follow-up on what you just said. But his other question is, where can you apply for things like Time Magazine and these other type of PR applications? Where do you go searching for those?
Yeah, so basically my PR, we have a coordinator on the marketing team now, and we just do searches. We just search contests. What we did is, we're in Montreal. We started by local contests. We were like, okay, what are the local Montreal contests? You know, there's a lot of contests that are made specifically for startups as well. So searched things like local Montreal contests, local Quebec contests, Canadian contests. And it's really through searching. Also, I think when you start applying, it's kind of contagious. So when you start applying and having wins, then somebody in your team will be like, hey, I saw this other contest, and they'll send it to you. So there's a bit of it's really word of mouth and just active search. I haven't found a repertoire or anything. I could send you, Jason, the list of the contests we've applied to, if ever that can kind of fast forward your efforts.
Well, thank you for that. And anyone else who does have any questions, please do put them in the Q&A panel below, and I'll get them to Rebecca here. Actually, a question from me as you were speaking that popped up in my head when you were mentioning that when you first began with BrainBox, you're basically starting from a clean slate.
Yeah.
So I wanted to better understand when you're starting from a clean slate like that, which I'm sure many entrepreneurs will be when they're beginning their own organizations, their own businesses, what do you see as the first integral step? Is it that getting that website made so that you have that digital footprint, or are there other steps you'd want to see before that?
The website is not the first step, because if you don't know what to put on the website, then it's just like an empty shell, right? So I think it's really your messaging and your understanding of your audience, because they go hand in hand, right? The first part is, okay, what do I have to offer to the world? What's my value prop? The second part is, who am I offering that to? And then your messaging is when you combine both of those elements together. So you're taking what you're offering, and you're taking what the need is, and you're communicating it like that, value-based communication. So yeah, the website then is just a medium, right?
Yeah.
That's the story, and the image is the core. And then you have different distribution mediums, the conferences, the brochures, the website, the social media. That being said, it's very good early on, once you have the name of your company, to ensure that the URL domain name is available. So even if you don't have anything to put on it yet, do that quickly, because and double check when you're deciding if you're at the stage of still determining what your company is going to be called. Secure those social media pages, secure the domain names, and then go back to your story image, figure that out, and then you'll be ready to put it on.
Secure that URL. Perfect. Okay. Well, thank you for that. And we do have some more questions pouring in right now. Another one. So Jason was following up on what you were saying. We have an email address, so we can connect you there if you would like to send over
Perfect.
some of where you've applied before. We do have another question from Regan here is, do you have a marketing team that handles growths through communities like you'd see on LinkedIn, Reddit, other industry groups, or is that a whole different area of expertise?
Yeah, growth marketing is becoming very trendy. Like a lot of organizations have started to have like dedicated marketing jurisdictions just to growth marketing, lead generation. We hired our first person about a year and a half ago to handle that. His name is Gabriel. We don't do a lot of Reddit or industry groups. It's not where a lot of our efforts go. A lot of our growth. I'm trying to reread the question to make sure I'm answering it. Do you have your marketing team handle growth through communities like Reddit, LinkedIn, industry groups? So my growth marketing team, just to come back to that, is really focused on like lead generation through funnel activities, marketing funneling, newsletters, ads, all that stuff. What I think Regan is referring to is having, if there's people that are in charge of like bringing our information to industry groups and LinkedIn, we don't do that actively. We do not do that actively. It takes a lot of time to do that. And you also have to have, it can't be a marketer that does this usually, because industry groups or like Reddit content is usually very specific to that industry or who they're talking. So for example, in our case, it would be HVAC groups, okay, heating, ventilation, air conditioning groups. I cannot comment on that. It would need somebody from our HVAC expert group to do so. So for us, it's still challenging to be able to do that. And we're careful, right? When you do public comments, how's it going to be perceived? There's trolls online. So we haven't delved into that too much.
It sounds like you need to have a large amount of technical expertise if you're looking at dabbling in those groups alongside
Yeah.
of the marketing savvy.
Well, it depends on your business. Like Regan, I don't know what your business is, right? Your business could be different in that a marketer would be able to be a part of those chat communities or forums, but for us it's not easy. It's possible, it's not easy.
Gotcha. Understood. Thank you. Our next question is very similar to the one I asked. So this is from Daniel. At the very beginning, you are alone or in a small group of 1 or 2 people. What would be the 2 to 3 things you suggest to focus on first? So I think we already touched a little bit on that with my first question, but I guess what would be the next 2 things after you're kind of deciding this is how I'm positioning myself, this is my brand, I got my URL, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So at BrainBox, we were really at the beginning. Like Daniel wrote at the very beginning. So at the very beginning, we had no name. We had nothing. So the name was one of the first things that we needed, because the team that we had, they needed to get they needed something to kind of collaborate on, work on. Like they wanted to be called something. They needed an identity. So there was like an urgent HR nature to that. So the name was really important. And then your mission and your story were also very important. The customer personas, like we talked about, those are all the basic elements. And then what we threw ourselves in the fastest after was the digital, because we knew that we could do it like, if you look at digital, how much you need to spend and how quickly you can do it compared to like attending conferences, you can do it way faster and it's more in your control. So also, when I was a person of one doing this, I also spent a lot of time finding the right external partners. So I had like a graphic designer that I secured, and I was like, that person's going to help me with my creative projects because I don't have that expertise. I found this super small agency that programmed like really light websites. I secured them because I knew I would need them. So it's also securing the folks around you that you're going to need, because one person can't do all marketing marketing unless you're really good at like full of things. But yeah, so understanding your story, your customers, going with the digital, and then surrounding yourself with the external help that you're going to need to get everything done.
Yeah, it does not sound like a job that could be accomplished by one person unless that person never ever
They
sleeps
went to
and is
graphic
extremely
design
talented.
school and they know how
Yeah,
to
yeah,
program, and
yeah.
maybe it exists. I don't know.
Very unlikely. Very unlikely. It looks like actually we have another question following up on something we previously asked. So this from Jocelyn asking if there's a bit more description to when you're searching for these kind of PR-based contests. The contest is the goal for what? Contest to join to get a free of something like PR. So I think it's, I guess, a little more description is what she's looking for, or they're looking for.
Yeah. So examples of contests that we've applied to. So um the goal of the contest for us is to win the contest in
Hmm.
order to get the free PR from it. So, but we're not applying, the contest is not positioned in that way, right? So the contest is looking for, um in Quebec we had one early days, which is like the SME Innovation of the Year. Okay, that could work. And they had a category for sustainable solutions. Okay, we're a small business, we're in Quebec, and we have a sustainable solution. We apply to it. And what that gives us is, okay, if we are finalists, the organization who takes care of the contest issues a press release saying these are all the finalists. So your name goes in all the medias of local journal, newspapers, and your name pops up. So you can see your website searches go up, you can see your social media searches go up, followership goes up because people are starting to see you. There's some people you don't really care that they are seeing you, like your grandma's friends. It doesn't really matter.
Sure.
But there's also business folks in your community, in potential investors, clients. So the goal of the contest is it's fun to win the award, good too on notoriety. You're doing it legitimizes the impact that your product is having. But it gives you all that free press as well. And then if you win, you go to a gala. And then at the gala, you can meet full of business folks. Most of the times there's a minister there. So a lot of networking opportunities through that. And the Time Magazine one was very big, and it brought us a lot of attention. But we win like 6 to 8 contests a year because
Hmm.
we apply to the ones that are for building sustainability in retail stores in Connecticut, like very, very
Yeah.
specific ones. But you know how much that helps my Connecticut sales guy? It's great because it makes a wave in his network, and then people learn about it, reach out to him. It's just a very inexpensive way. It's a risk, right? You spend time, it might not work out. But if it does work out, the effort is really low compared to the reward that you get. I hope that answered the question. I'm really,
I
please
believe
tell
it
me if
does. Yeah.
it's
It seems like it's a very low effort way to market yourself that comes with an extremely high reward that is quite scalable because it's going to be like it almost multiplies. Like any effort you put in can be multiplied if you win.
yeah.
Okay. Any other questions we have from the audience? Oh, we have another one here. Okay. Jocelyn's responded saying, okay, got it. To get free PR, as you mentioned, that PR can be expensive. Thank you very much for the detailed explanation. They definitely get it. Um, Last question. Only one winner is selected, or are multiple businesses selected? Actually, you mentioned that a little bit with finalists. You said they make like a
Yeah.
big finalist list. So that gets
Yeah.
published as well that you could, I
Yes.
guess,
Typically
leverage.
the
Yeah.
finalists also get published, and the finalists can also, it depends, right? Some don't, some most do. So you'll have a bigger chance of winning. I think it's also it's an art. It's an art applying to contests. We have found a way, like over time, as you apply to more, you can see what type of things contests judges are looking for. And once you kind of figure out that the way to position yourself that's really favorable, then you can have a good success rate. We usually get finalists or higher. We usually get finalists or higher. But you need to know, or like for example, even if your product or solution you're thinking, it's not that sexy, I don't think I'd win on
Mhm.
that. You can apply to contests that are for executive of the year, or female leader in your space. There's full of other types of contests too. Even HR, I call them contests, but like best places to work, certifications. So they're kind of like,
Mm.
I don't know if they're like contests, but it's just a good way to get your name out there, get it associated with a big brand, get it associated with a recognized association. Usually contests are linked to associations. So it just gives you a stage.
a stage and probably a great deal of credibility for search engines as well when they're looking and combing through the various articles that are
One Time
online. Yeah,
magazine backlinked our website. That was
yeah,
really powerful
I could
on the
imagine.
SEO.
Yeah, yeah,
That was very
yeah.
powerful.
Very, very cool. Is there any other questions at this time from audience here? I'll just give another couple seconds in case we have any fast typers here. There we
I
go. I
appreciate the
think.
questions though. That's so fun.
Yeah,
And
very good
I
questions. Thank
didn't
you, everyone.
I didn't leave the last screen on very long,
Mhm.
but I'm on LinkedIn. If ever you guys are interested, we publish BrainBox. We publish a lot of like sustainability content. So if you're interested in marketing and sustainability, that's sort of what I share a lot of. So would love to connect, give more advice if ever you find it's useful.
Perfect. Thank you for that. If we can, maybe I'll speak with Victoria afterwards. I know we have usually a follow-up email that goes out to our list here. So, oh, Jocelyn's already sent a connection. There we go. So, connections at work on LinkedIn. So perfect. If there are no other questions at this time, I just would like to say, Rebecca, thank you so much. This was fantastic. I think there's a lot of value here for everyone to soak up, and I think these are very actionable things that we can do to improve our marketing posture as we go into the world.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, and with that, thank you very much, everyone, for attending. I hope you all have a great day, and thank you again to Rebecca for the presentation. Bye all for
Bye.
now.